I call this March 24th, 2026 budget work session to order. Tonight, we're going to be talking to property and sanitation.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. I'll go ahead and introduce myself for those watching. My name is Dexter Neisler. I am the Property and Sanitation Director. In the Property and Sanitation Department, we have several divisions. In that division, you have building services, you have codes enforcement, sanitation, and planning and zoning. Again, my name is Dexter Neisler. I have the building official role. I also do the job of the zoning administrator, the floodplain manager, and I manage a department of 20 people. I brought a couple of them with me tonight. We have Malachi Cook, he is our senior building inspector. Tyson Shelley, he's our sanitation supervisor, and Kyle Davis is our sanitation coordinator. Casey Preston, which is our codes enforcement supervisor, is at training today, so I think she's a manager training. I kind of threw this up here. This is just the departmental purpose. I think this applies. This is right out of the International Building Code. This applies to our whole department, whether it's sanitation or building services or codes enforcement. It is all about public safety. Everything we do is about the built environment and public safety. I don't know if you guys want to wait till the very end to ask questions or go through, but I'll be happy to do it either way.
I think we've done it both ways, but I kind of like going through it, asking questions at the guys. Now, my first question is, this is 2012 building code?
This is 2012, so my plans this year is to adopt the 2024s.
2024?
Yep.
Okay.
So hopefully I can bring that to you guys this year. I'm going to let Malachi talk a little bit about building services. Malachi really oversees the 2 building permit techs. He oversees himself and 3 other building inspectors, and they do all the permitting, inspections, plan review, things like that. So I'll let Malachi touch on that.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Mayor. Building Services Division focuses mostly on permitting and inspections. That's with new construction, remodels, equipment, update, maintenance, things of that nature. With that, there's also plan review for new permits, whether it's a new construction or a major remodel of any location, whether it's commercial or residential. With that, you also have contractor licensing. There's several state statutes that govern your MEP contractors, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. Aside from that, you have just general building contractors. The permit technicians, myself, and the building official all review those documents as they come in to get those contractors licensed. We also have enforcement hearings, so if a property is dilapidated or there's an issue with a parcel, we may send you a letter depending on what it may be. It could be as little as your paint is chipping and blowing into your neighbor's yard, or as much as shingles flying off down the block, or the whole house is dilapidated to a point where we need to do something a little more major. We also have consultations that we go over with customers. We'll meet you at your house, talk about fencing, where you could put a shed, where your water line might or might not be, things of that nature. We also do special event permits. That's something that's newer to me, but the building official has signed up on those for several years now. Those are to do with major events. You know, if you have a party that's, you know, going to close the street or something like that, or involve other aspects of life safety for a large building or something like that, that's where that would come into play.
Yeah.
We currently have around 726 active permits. There have been 597 inspections within the last 60 days, and we currently have 97 active dilapidation cases. As I stated earlier, that could be as simple as an issue with painting or guttering falling off a house, something like that, or a house that's been abandoned and derelict for several years. Here's a couple pictures of what we run into on a day-to-day. There's a breaker panel there that's not code compliant. We've also got a water heater, similar in nature, not code compliant. There's a good picture of underground gas line. You can't really see it in the photo. It's got its tracer wire on it. There's a commercial building that was completely redecked. They recovered all the sheathing on the roof. prior to putting new shingles on it. And that bottom right is just what we run into with old houses. You know, sometimes there's hoarding conditions, or they just fill everything that they can find inside of a home. And I'll let Dexter.
This is our budget overview from, for building services from 2022 to current. You guys have any questions on that? Okay.
Seems consistent. Okay.
Yep.
Why the jump from 25 to 26, Dexter?
Oh, yeah.
On the, which part?
On that,
Or the overall?
so the budget. Never mind. I'm sorry. I was looking at
Okay.
actuals. That was the actual budget. Never
Okay.
mind.
Some of the building service needs as we go forward, things that we'll need as we continue to grow in town are,
We've already got a couple of drones, but we don't have any inspectors that are currently drone certified. That would help us take a better look at taller two-story buildings. I believe we met over at 616. Had we had a drone that day, we could have taken a real-time view of the roof and the condition that it was in, but we didn't have that at the time. As we move into the next set of code, we'll need new review software that's specific to that code year.
I want to touch a little bit on that. So with AI and everything coming out with AI, there is a lot of software out now that will actually help us and speed that plan review process up. Our turnaround times for permit are anywhere from hours to a couple days. We ask for 10 days. We never really get there unless it's a big job like Best Hotel, Crossland, some of these bigger jobs. But that plan review software would really help on these larger jobs. Sorry.
That's all right. Some of the other things we need, just updated equipment. We have some gas sniffers, but I'd like to see an improvement on that. Really just says if there's gas or not gas. I'd like to maybe get something that shows parts per million. We're always needing training every year. Construction is always updating, and so we should as well update our knowledge of said construction. So I'd like to see the guys go to a training course every year for any new updates to what may come. We also need better reporting. Currently, our software does allow for that, but it takes quite a few man-hours to find specific information that you may request or someone may request through an open records. Automatic reporting would give us a faster option to get you the information you need.
That crystal reporting would be very handy. We do have to pull a lot of reports, a lot of open reports, even though Tamley is extremely friendly on getting us that information. It takes a lot of time to pull in open records. It takes a lot to go through all the software. So crystal reporting would be huge for us.
And then just on the same line, auto archiving our data. We currently archive every piece of inspection history ourselves, but it would be nice if the software put that in a repository for us so that we didn't have to do the legwork after the fact to close that out.
What about the old days when you had all the plans downstairs, like sewer mains and things like that?
So I think
Did you
sewer
guys
mains, things
copy
like
those?
that, Matt has some. I think we've put a lot into, Tammy, didn't we have a lot put in by a company, outside source, scan those in? I think there was even some college students came down for a while and scanned them in. We have quite a bit of that information digitally saved now.
I'll just ask you on this complaint response, when you get a complaint, how quick do you respond to it?
I would say it depends on the severity. If it's an emergency or sounds like life safety, immediately. But if it's something as simple as I'd like you to go by and look at this house, it's been in disrepair for years, it may be same day or next day, depending on our workload.
And some of that complaint is generated by our C-Click Fix.
Yeah.
A lot of it actually is, but we do get calls every single day, from verbal complaints. But C-Click Fix is another one of those things, software that comes in and it gets rerouted to one or two different people. We have to assign it to the right person. And then again, like you said, it's kind of driven by how severe the complaint is.
Well, like you're talking C-Click Fix, but I also get calls and talk to people about a complaint on something that's terrible shape. And I talked to you, Dexter, and you've already got a court case going.
Yep.
That most people don't know. about what's happening, you know, so.
I think most people want immediate action, which I understand that, but
Right.
there's a process to everything. And sometimes when or just about every time when you're dealing with private property, there are processes, state statutes, there are laws that govern us from just running out there and taking care of something.
Right.
So it takes time, but you're right. Just about everything you've ever called me on, I was able to tell you, I think there's already a case on it.
And people don't realize some of the complaints you go to, I imagine most of them, they're not too friendly when you come there. And it kind of, like you said, it's your people's safety that sometimes is a concern.
I appreciate you acknowledging that because we have had staff threatened, whether it be physical or even, I think, a time or two for shooting. We do catch those threats on, seems like a weekly basis from somebody. Most people have the mentality, get out of my yard, get off my property, you can't do something, you can't tell me what to do. But we do live in a town with rules, so.
Same with drones flying. Why are you looking at my yard when you're actually looking at something
So
else? But they see it hovering or whatever.
I'm
they
glad you
think-
brought that up. We are not, we talked a little bit about drones. We really don't want to do drones in residential neighborhoods. It's not the goal of our drones. We have a lot of downtown buildings that are extremely difficult and unsafe to get on. That's the purpose we want to use the drones for.
There's a lot of certified drone training that's available in the state of Kansas. I know there's some out in Salina. Have you guys looked at what's needed for your
Yeah,
department to get the training?
I think Jay has actually put several people through within the city to get that.
So what's the turnaround time once they're trained to actually applying, going out and using the drones for the purpose? I mean,
Depending on, it's usually a self-directed process, usually a couple months.
it's just as needed to, once something comes up and you can go out and run it.
Yeah.
So the police department currently has trained drone operators. Can you guys work with them on
Oh, yeah,
some of this
and we
stuff?
have. It's just sometimes inconvenient to, when we need to do something to work around 2 or 3 different department schedules to do that. So we do have some drones in our department already that were previously purchased. So if we could get a couple people certified, that would help. Anything else? Think no, okay. Casey's not here, as I said. She is our codes supervisor. Some of the things, area of focus for codes enforcement is obviously nuisance codes, that's tall weeds, grass, things like that. Complaint response, they're obviously see-click fix is a big part of their workload. They go out and do inspections daily to investigate the complaint, then they follow their process to get it written up and the ordinance with letters and notification. Then they'll go back and do another inspection. So sometimes it's 2, 3, 4 inspections to meet that compliance. And then case documentation is very important to them. Every little thing they do it's a good chance you have to treat it like it's gonna go to court. And they're in court, it seems like every Wednesday over here. Currently, they have this year 761 cases going. So when you say, hey, is there a case on it? Probably. That's a lot of cases for 3 inspectors. Last year, they did a total of 2,048 cases, the 3 of them. Out of those cases last year, the city had to actually go in and gain compliance for 451 of them. Out of those
Can I stop you? Got
Yeah.
a question. We just passed an ordinance not that long ago on illegal parking. And that's still going on, so people know that's not allowed. So do you go out or is it a police call that has
The
to go?
codes officers go out. I actually have that ability too, but the codes officers do go out and write those tickets.
Cause I've heard a lot of complaints about that. We have an ordinance and it's still happening.
Oh, I'm glad you're not hearing the ones that are saying, hey, I got a ticket, because they're mad too.
Well, I had a guy call me and tell me he got a ticket to where he was parked and he had a warning ticket before that and continued to park there, so.
And
Guess they give you-
the warnings weren't something we put into any kind of ordinance. That was just something that
Right.
we did, trying to be nice, say, hey, stop parking there, but we write them when we see them, or if somebody complains about them, we go down and investigate and write them.
So if they move it, do you fine them for it being illegal?
Once we write them the ticket, it's out of our hands, it's now in municipal court. So what happens when they get over here, I don't know. We don't get a record of that. So I couldn't tell you if they're paid, waived, what happens.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
The blanket policy that was in the paper 2 weeks ago that I read at the last meeting about grass and that type of thing, how come you can't do that with the codes? And if it's a violation, you can't just write a ticket and then they show up at city court to pay it or otherwise? And
I
if you're
think-
putting the ordinance on the ticket,
I think that might be a question for
a blanket,
But-
one time a year
We
type
went-
thing?
I mean, that's, I'm sure we've talked about this before. We went through this a few years ago. The problem with the ticket is a warrant. And so unless you have something that can,
It's due process. So what you have to, so if I go cut your grass, the grass is grass. The problem with anything on your property, if I go and remove it, I haven't given you due process. And I
So,
believe, and
but who's the ticket, but the other thing is, who's the ticket go to? Because you've got landlords. I mean, if you pull over a car, it's registered
yeah.
to somebody.
Or like
That's
the
who's gonna
car's
get the
parked
ticket.
over the sidewalk and then that's an ordinance, or they're parked on the water meter, that type of thing.
Yeah.
Or trailers parked the wrong way in traffic, or trailers unhitched from a vehicle.
Right.
That's all part of the ordinances, so.
Yes, and we can do those. But to blanket everything else, and maybe I misunderstood, but
No, I guess the thing of it is, so much paperwork for a
it's a
simple,
lot.
be like,
yes, it is a lot. And that's what I was gonna say, my staff would love to just do that, but I think, I don't think we're allowed to do that
oh,
legally. Did I answer your question, Chuck?
Yes.
Okay.
Dexter, on that one specifically, are you tracking what the violations are by category? Is it more of
Oh, yeah.
people just parking or? is it
Yeah,
working
and
on
I
the
have
vehicle?
I have a sheet coming up, pie chart, that'll kind of show a little bit of that. I didn't break everything down. But we do track that. If you were to come in or ask for, hey, what's the numbers, what's the total per each one, we could give you that.
See, I think that would be something good, to give it off what Cheryl's saying, to put it out, this is what we're seeing, this is what we're citing, this is corrective action, so.
Putting it out, where are you gonna put it out though?
On our website. I
Well,
think that's a
like, for instance,
fantastic
City's
idea.
website, on the channel, I mean.
yeah, or,
everything-
it's against the ordinance, you can't burn trash in a barrel, right?
Right.
And
With
there's
that, I
people.
think, there's
so-
probably some rules to that. I'm not gonna answer for the fire.
Oh, I know,
department, but
I
yeah.
understand, but if you burn leaves and as long as it's contained, you have
Right,
something
right.
over, but trash burning, that's an ordinance, you can't burn household trash.
Right,
A lot of people do,
yep,
but it's against the ordinance.
yep.
I think if we publish that, we put that out quarterly, I don't know how many times a
Yeah.
year, just to show people.
Just the overall numbers, not addresses, not.
Right, not
Just the
specifics,
overall
just-
numbers, yeah.
This is what's happening, this
Yeah.
put in place, I think that would be
Yep.
helpful, so.
And, out of those 451 work orders, 248 had to be assessed. That means they did not, the occupant or the homeowner did not pay for those, that cleanup. So those get assessed to the city taxes every year. And I believe you guys see that ordinance every June or May when it comes through. Back to what you were asking a little while ago, kind of what do we see? High grass and weeds, as you can see, is the blue there. That is the bulk. Land nuisance, that could be almost anything, just trash in the yard.
And with that, are we seeing more of private property, or are we seeing more like rental property that's causing those?
That's a great question. I don't know that I can answer that. Casey could, because they write the letters, but I don't dive that deep into it unless they need me to, but she could answer that question for you.
I'll follow up with her.
This map on the right, this year, we always have summer help, and last year, we had two guys that stayed on, and we put them under the sanitation department, but these two gentlemen, I can't give them enough credit. Every dot you see on that map, take the one on North Rouse, and I think I can point at it. I'm not gonna go to the website or anything, but this right here, that dot, that particular day, they go from north side of Rouse to the south side, all the way to the hospital, from the industrial park to the hospital, either walking it or one walking and the other will bring up the truck, and they will hand pick up trash. I don't know if you guys remember 2 years ago, before we started the trash service or the sanitation service, why we started it, and what the town looked like, and how much trash was blowing around. You're not seeing that today. I'm driving around and not seeing it today. That's because of these two guys that are walking around cleaning this up. So not only are they cleaning up trash, but they're going up and down alleys, trimming alleys for the trash trucks. So the trash drivers are out driving and they'll call them and say, hey, get down this alley and clean this alley. Or I can't give those two guys enough credit for what they do.
I wanna follow up with that, Dexter, because I seen them on Broadway around restaurants picking up trash. And I talked to you about this, and most people don't realize that's what they do, you know? And I also talked to you about people that has trash. I had a complaint the other day, it's just running over, it's falling over, dogs are getting in it, and our guys have gotta go chase the trash down. And I ask you, why, you know, we charge for, cutting your grass. If we gotta pick up your trash, why can't we put that charge on your water bill also?
Yeah. So that particular case, and you did call me the other day, and I went and looked at that, and that particular case was exactly like you'd told me. I immediately called the codes department, and there was already a case on it. We were a couple days in, but it was bad. That whole area was bad because of that, probably the one individual letting it blow all over. But
I think the hard part's, the grass is attached to the earth, obviously, so you know whose property it's on.
once it blows down the road.
Once the trash starts blowing, you're gonna.
Well, I'm
I
talking
don't
about
know.
restaurants, if you got trash blowing around you should have
Yeah.
people there picking that up.
And I think we did that last year. There was a particular store up north that had a lot of trash complaints from behind it. And Codes Department worked really close with them and obviously started the cases, but they did get it cleaned up. But we could, yes, same thing.
I've had some phone calls on dumping, and I want to bring that up today too, to ask how you guys handle that. It's generally somewhere close to the north side of the college. College kids get done with their furniture and they dump it out on the street or in somebody else's yard. If a residence has a case where somebody's dumped something on their property, it's obviously not theirs. How do you guys
We
handle
just
that?
went and picked it up.
Just
It's
like-
back to what Darren says. At the end of the day, we started this clean up the town. So, Tyson will tell you, there's times he'll call and say, well, there's some extra trash here. We're gonna pick it up. That's the end result. How do we bill for it? If we can bill, if it's on their property and it's not, hey, somebody threw this out in my yard at 2 a.m., we're going to bill you bulk item pickup. That's what we started, was a case-by-case bulk item, not the big citywide. But if it's, DJ, if it's thrown out in the yard, we're gonna pick it up. And probably nobody's gonna get a bill.
We had some that, they have low fences and stuff's been thrown over in the backyard. They don't even know it's there for a long time. Probably not even less than a year, but they don't
Right.
know. So the front yard seems to be the biggest thing, so.
Yeah, and we've had those, I've had people call me and say, I woke up this morning, there's a couch out by the street, know where it came from. But we'll pick them up.
There is an ordinance too about dumpster diving also.
There is, I think that's enforced by police department, but, I think since we've started, at least for ours, what we're dumping, they're not filling up. The
Sure.
big problem with that was some of the other trash companies were not dumping regularly, and these dumpsters were filling up and just overflowing, and people scattering stuff all over. We're picking them up on commercial ones everywhere, anywhere from once a week to 5 days a week, same dumpster, so. We haven't had any problem, I don't think, with ours yet.
Good.
This is some of the things that codes people see when you talk about land nuisance. Here's some good photos of land nuisance. Whether it's tall grass and weeds or just trailers full of trash or inoperable vehicles, that's kind of what their day-to-day case looks like. Codes enforcement budget overview from 2022 to 2026, I think is just like building services. It's pretty straightforward. We did add one personnel at the commission's request. I believe that was back in 2023. If there's no questions over that, I'll move on. Codes enforcement needs, as they go forward, we're currently using, and Matt's got these things on order, so when I put them up here on need, it's something that I think is already budgeted in and working, but we do need a one-ton dump truck for these two individuals to go around, pick up the couches, things like that. Those things we don't throw those in the trash truck. If we can keep from it, we drive around with a dump truck and pick them up. Every year, we usually pick up 2 part-time mowing. Obviously, mowing's a big deal in the spring and summer. Miscellaneous hand tools, they need everything from, you know, little cutters to lobbers, and we've switched from a lot of gas-powered stuff to battery-powered stuff. It seems to be working better for us out in the field. We're not toting around gas cans and mixed gas and regular gas, so that's working out, but we'll always need to pick up additional blades and hand tools, things like that. Training, there's always training available for codes people. You know, there was one out in, I think Garden City last year. Malachi, you correct me if I'm wrong, is that where it was?
Yes.
And it actually had a whole course on how to take pictures for court. And I was really surprised by that, so we sent a couple, but that's how important it is when you're out there documenting things for court, is to even, I didn't know there was a training class on how to take a photo for court, but there is. So continuing education for them would be very important. Drone certification, since we already have drones, I think again, it would be extremely handy in certain areas for, not necessarily for them to run around town in residential neighborhoods, but there are cases where they could use a drone as well, or at least have somebody from our department go over. Safety equipment's very important. I like the codes officers to be very visible when they're out there. Sometimes when they get out, they get a code complaint at the end of the block. They walk the whole block. They don't go out. So that's another thing that people need to understand is, I called in my neighbor, next thing you know, I was retaliated on and got a letter. No, if you called in your neighbor, they're gonna walk the whole block when they're out there. They don't just hit one area. They'll hit the whole area while they're there. So we always want them to have safety equipment so they're well identified, whether that's a vest or whatever it may be. Crystal reporting and auto archiving, same thing for them. They do a lot of documents and it would sure help.
Speaking of Crystal, are we gonna be doing fire hydrants again this summer?
You know, that's gonna be up to the fire department, but she did a great job last year. You know, we had her in the sanitation department for several months. She walked around with a cart we provided her and a vest, and she did a great job. You know, I, again, can't say enough good things about her. She wasn't any problem. She worked
There's
hard.
900 some hydrants, surely didn't get them all painted in it.
No.
Yeah, I'd have to check with Chief.
No,
for
we
that.
talked to Crystal yesterday, imagine that, ran into her and asked if she was planning on coming back to work, and she said, yeah, but she thought she was close to being out of hydrants, and I said, well, we'll keep you busy somewhere outside.
We're never out of trash.
Well, she loves working for the city, and I mean, talk about reliable. I don't think Crystal missed a day, and other than having to go find her, eventually I think we had to give her a phone or something, but she's great, and she was real excited about, she was having lunch at one of the restaurants yesterday and was just all, yeah, I can't wait, and the weather's changing, and I'm ready to go. But I don't know if fire hydrants will keep her busy for a whole nother year, but we'll see. Success.
Yep. Moving into the sanitation areas of focus, obviously, we started to clean up the town. I think we're making a pretty big difference out there. I hope that's visible to the 5 of you. I know it is to most people we're hearing from. Our goal is just to continue to provide reliable and consistent trash service. City of Pittsburgh sanitation, you know, do we know exactly when we started this? Was this October of 23 or 4?
Let me look here.
24, I think.
24, I believe.
So when we started this, we really didn't know where we would, how we would even, you know, how many we would have. Are we gonna start out and maybe have 500, 600? So where we are today, weekly, we're at 3,602 stops a week, and actually it's probably another 60 or 80 above that by now, since I did this. But out of that 3,602, we have 3,333 residential customers, 269 commercial customers. Average monthly signups are about 88 a month on average. 88. Every single month has been pretty consistent. The last 6 months, we've had 533 new customers sign up. So that might help explain this slide a little bit, this budget slide. Obviously, 2026 was what we projected in 2024. And Missy, please correct me anywhere I'm wrong, but we're doing, and let me skip one, this might actually help. So revenues kind of explain it a little better. We obviously didn't think we would be at 707,000 in 2025. So, because we only estimated 661 in 2026. So maybe that explains this number a little better. But we are growing faster than we thought we would. I think, I haven't had any complaints. Kyle is our complaint guy. He kind of does a little bit of everything, so him being the coordinator, if there's a phone call, hey, they didn't get my trash, or hey, I need a poly card, or hey, I want to set up service, or I got a couch in my yard, Kyle's your guy. Tyson manages the 3 trucks, the drivers, and all the employees that ride on them, and does a fantastic job with safety and walk-around inspections every day. Just to hit back on those trucks a little bit, Monday through Thursday are extremely busy days for them. Friday is we're trying to just keep that the minimal day, and that's the day they service the trucks, they wash the trucks, they clean the insides. I didn't realize there was so many grease certs on a gas truck, but there is, so they spend all those days cleaning the trucks. They do have a route they run, but after that route's done, they do that every Friday.
Are we okay on trucks? We're doing fine with trucks, or we're looking at a 4th truck? Because when we originally predicted this about 2 or 3 years ago, we said we'll probably wind up with 4 trucks if things go
Right.
well. Where are we on that?
We've kicked it around. We're probably pretty good through the end of the year.
Yeah, I think we're good till the end of the year. Probably another 700 to 1,000 customers, we're probably gonna start thinking about another truck. Because if we have one breakdown like we did yesterday and today, because we were here till 3:30 today trying to, we usually work 6 to 2. We were here to 3:30 today trying to get everything picked up to make sure it was done because we were short a truck this morning.
So Tuesday is their largest route by far. I think there's over 1,100 pickups on Tuesday. So.
Yeah, I talked to one of the drivers the other day, and they said 500 stops in one day. That's
And that's
That's
where
quite a
we're
few
getting just about every day, except for Friday.
Yeah.
We're getting there. Like I said, and we still have the commercial truck which we can add to it still, but like I said, I think by the end of the year, we'll probably need another truck.
But the bad thing about what he's saying is, yes, we have a little room with that 3rd truck because we run commercial, but if we have a truck go down, we did today. We had a blowout today coming back from the dump. We had a flat tire this morning.
Yesterday afternoon, we had an AirPod go out on the first truck we got. So that was 11 o'clock today before they got it fixed. And then the other truck that he was using, he had 2 flat tires on it, so he had to take that and get it fixed. Then the other truck, when they got the other truck fixed and I was taking it to the landfill, I had a blowout on the way to the landfill, so we had to have the service truck come out and fix it. So
To answer your question, probably
there's a lot of
gonna be
maintenance on them.
first part of the year sometime.
I've heard nothing but good things about this program from so many people. It's been awesome. Customer service is getting a shout out tonight too. People call and they get things done quickly and timely. If there's been delays, you guys are jumping on top of it quickly and letting people know. Some of my notes, the texting service and the pickup timeframes and all that stuff, people love that. They love the idea because they forget to take the cans out or put the extra stuff out. And that's an extra service, that allows them to get caught up with it. So the community doing a great job.
And what's wild when the program's not working, we have kind of problems with that, and Kyle will get phone calls, people like, I didn't put my trash out because I didn't get the text, or I didn't get the phone call, or email, or whatever.
How about
Which it's usually not a problem, we can go back.
How about
and get it.
employees? They're pretty stable overall?
For the most part, we've got a couple that, we may need to do some adjusting, but.
Well, I mean, are we able to?
Keep up with what we have?
Recruit people when,
Yeah, I think so.
You have the same guys driving
We
all
do,
the
we
time?
have three drivers, Kyle's a backup driver, so he's, you know, if we get one sick, Kyle's licensed CDL
Plus, we have
driver.
another young kid that's a backup driver.
Yeah,
They all have CDLs.
yes,
And you're riding 5 days a week right now?
yes, Monday through Friday.
I'm amazed, I know just with when you guys come, you're like clockwork. You're maybe 2 or 3 minutes. It's 6:30 every Monday morning and you're there. I'm
Right.
nothing but good, and all I can ever say is thank you cards for being, because we came in at the right time, and that it's done nothing but sort, and I can see that fourth truck coming sooner.
Yeah.
That's what I was
I
gonna
can
say
see it
with
happening.
employees, we could maybe get employees from other trash services, because what we offer our employees is a decent wage, days off, vacation time, benefits that I don't know if all the other services have that same.
The benefits are hard to beat. As far as the pay goes, I will tell you, the other companies are paying them more. So you have to kind of try to pull them in with the benefits, so. And a lot of them now, they don't use throwers, like GFL, and, well, Card's actually sold out to a different company, which I think they only have a few throwers, and they're moving down to Fidelity over by Joplin.
We went away from throwers, or we went back to throwers and away from the automatic because we've seen the mess with the automatic. The
Sure.
guy's driving along
Absolutely.
and flicks it around and
Trash
throws the
everywhere.
trash can out in the yard. So that's where I think our success has come from our employees, and they've done great. I think you guys
For
have
the
all
most
done
part,
great.
yeah. You always get a bad apple here and there, but
So, going forward, some of our continuous needs are just safety equipment, standard safety equipment, gloves, vests, things like that, safety training. Every time somebody's hired, we run them through a safety course. Truck maintenance, poly carts and dumpsters, I've been through here several times. I think we're good on poly carts at this rate to hold us pretty close to the end of the year.
What happened to all the other ones in town that were just sitting there, that were not ours?
So a lot of those companies came and picked them up.
They
Some of
did.
them we've actually found out in the street and took them and dropped them off out at their local place.
Oh.
We've asked citizens to dispose of them. Some of the ones they owned, we've disposed of them for them.
we do get customers that ask us if we can get rid of them for them. But we don't, because we don't want to get.
Our answer is if they own them. If they own them, we can dispose of them. If they're another company's carts, we leave it to them. Now, if we find them out in the street or somewhere, we'll take them and deliver them, but.
One of the things that I've noticed is the city is a lot cleaner than it was 2 years ago, 3 years ago. The streets look better. I mean, there are some areas that are not, and they're never going to be, but it sure looks a hell of a lot better than it did 2, 3 years ago, that's for sure.
Thank you. That's this crew here.
Thank you.
Long-term growth needs, additional trash truck we talked about, that'll need to be with additional employees. New facility, I put that on there because we all know about the freeze-ups this year. We gotta get them in during the winter. So, I think Matt's crews have offered to let us get them in those buildings temporarily till we get something down the road. But I don't think we have any more bad weather coming, or at least for the next day or two. Might be 90 today and 0 tomorrow, I don't know. Routing software, I put that on there. Currently, we're using Spoke, and there's good things about it and then there's bad. Personally, I think it was designed for delivery, and that's why you get the text, and that's the part that gets the text. Most of these guys like Tyson, Carl, that have been in this business for 15, 20 years, all come from a different software that, in their 15, 20 years, you feel like that works a little better.
Yes, for sure.
This
Trying to
is
think-
very
I'm trying to
clunky
think
putting
of the name of
together.
it Now I lost the name of it.
Trash flow.
Cash flow, right.
But they have a minimum of 4 trucks if you wanna have their service.
So that's something we can look at if we get a fourth
Long-term.
truck down the road.
What is it?
It's called Trash Flow.
Oh, trash flow.
Yeah, this is designed specifically for this.
There's one I've got saved on my computer. I'll have to show it to Dexter, but they want you to set up like a trial where you can go and watch all their videos and shows you how to use it. But it's got all the same features as what this does, the texting and in the emails or whatever, so. And I-
That's something we'll look at going down the road, but if their minimum is 4 trucks, when we get to 4 trucks, it's something we can look at. But I think cost comparison, it's about the same.
So what are we spending on the current system?
It's right around 1,200 a month, 12 to 1,400 a month. But I think most of that is the tech service, which is expensive, but everybody likes it.
Right, well, it's had good reviews for sure.
Moving on, do you guys have any more about the trash?
Did you have any problems with bugs on the water bill where the trash service is listed on there? I know for a while.
I don't
there's
think
been
so. Have you got
Everything,
any
all that's
Anything
been,
new.
No, actually, most people are very happy with it. They're
Yeah.
oh, you can just add that to my water bill? Great. And they seem to be very happy with it. I think if there was a little bit of clunkiness in the beginning, I think it got
I
resolved
think
quickly.
most of our adjustments we're doing is because maybe there's been a change in the household. It's a rental and there's been somebody new.
Yeah.
They didn't sign up for the trash service and it still was being picked up.
Or I moved to another
Charge.
rental and took my can with me. That seems to be
Yeah, so it's kind
a
of.
challenge sometimes.
I had a call one time and, recently, a man had, been billed for trash service that he didn't sign up for. I mean, we talked about it,
Yeah.
Dexter, and it was, in the beginning, he had questions, never got signed up, but it was put on his water bill. And Dexter got on top of it and got him a refund back.
Well, I'm gonna give that to Kyle.
Okay,
You
all
don't
right.
have to come up and speak about it, but you called me, I called him, and he got on top of it, and he did a great job, so, yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
I just had one more question. So you were talking about like bulk item pickups, couches, whatever. Not all, people don't call all the time and say, hey, can you come pick this up? You know, we just happen to be driving by and we see it and pick it up and take it. Is that something that he can just bill them for? Or does it have to be,
Well,
they have
that's
to
a
be
different-
notified
yeah.
first? I mean,
That's something we would have to work out.
right.
Well, isn't the park, what we call it the parkway, isn't, that belongs to the,
It does, but that's
city.
back to what DJ mentioned earlier. It's not always I threw it out there. It's sometimes, and I know the individual that called me probably a year ago and said, hey, my daughter has this out in front of her house. I know it wasn't his. So you can't just, we could, I guess, but it'd be the wrong thing to do, in my opinion.
It wouldn't be
Bill
lawful to
somebody.
bill somebody for something they have nothing to do with that was dumped on their property, but it was still, I mean, there's eaches for each one of those.
Right. So also, in our department, I'm the zoning administrator, we do the, planning and zoning board of appeals. The zoning is here to protect the health and safety and general welfare of the community. It's keep like-minded things in like-minded areas. Currently on that board, we have Kyle Michael, he's the chairperson, Bob Gilmore, vice chair, Mike Hannica's a member, Mike Wilbur, Blake Lallman, Martin Dickinson, Jeff Brooks, and myself, and Deanna is the secretary. We're happy to, I didn't put a whole lot in there about the zoning. Don't know if you guys have any questions about that.
The one question I have about it is, I know there's been stuff that was brought up last year about the current status of the zoning for the city, and you were gonna start working towards updating things, getting things matched for the times, you know, what's.
Yeah, so that's probably gonna be like I don't know if that's a master plan, if we need to look at a city's master plan. So I think correct me if I'm wrong, DJ, what he's talking about is, there's other cities, take Bentonville, that's changing their zoning completely. There was a name for that. Jay, do you remember the name that they used for the zoning? We were looking into it, and we are looking into it, but I think it's a bigger change than just amending a few ordinances. I
Yeah.
think it's an overhaul.
But we're working towards that.
Yes.
Just 'cause it's needed.
Oh, yeah.
We've identified that,
Yeah.
just the timeframe it's gonna take to actually change it, implement the new system and update,
Right.
get everybody on board with it.
Yep.
Okay. I just wanna make sure we were still working towards
Yeah,
it.
we are. And I know we had questions, but do we have any more?
It's not a question so much as a comment that, I like that these departments are coming and talking about their department. Very good information. But also, I'm not trying to put you on the spot now, but, we need to look at how we can reduce costs in the department if that's possible, because we gotta cut some costs. And, I think we can, just from the departments. Another thing I want to point out is, we started looking at credit cards and way to, reduce costs. And I have to tell you, the last two departments, I think it was Memorial Auditorium and the library, I believe, perfect. You guys, you have invoices, itemized statements, everything that you're supposed to have for a credit card purchase. And, we have a purchasing policy. Looks like you guys got it memorized, because you know what you're supposed to do.
Thank
Just
you.
want to commend you on.
I appreciate that.
So,
I was happy to see a lot of the information that was on there and that it's being done uniformly. It's not different parts of the page, it's not small information. You guys are doing detailed things that make sense for the receipt and make sense for what you're purchasing, so, yeah, again.
Well, Jared pretty well cracks the whip on us, keeps us in line, so.
You're an example of not to change the current policy. There's no reason to change
It
it.
works for us.
You're
I
making
don't,
it work.
I'm sure if you went through them in detail, you'll see Tyson runs and buys nuts and bolts or antifreeze or things like that, and he pretty well documents every single
yeah.
thing. So yeah, it works for us. I don't know how we would do it if we weren't doing it that way.
Good job.
Thank
Going
you.
through these budget study groups like this, part of the intent is for the commission to understand better how you guys do your job, what your needs are, how we can help you. And again, the mayor's saying, looking at ways we can reduce costs or consolidate things that make sense. Every department, I know even when I spoke to you the first time, there's things out there that everybody can do. We just have to zone in on, using that word as a pun, to find those things to get to where we're spending things more effectively. But
I'd like to think we do a pretty good job of watching our spending, but knowing we all came on to be public servants, we all want to do a good job. Alls we want to hear is, hey, you've done a great job. Nobody wants to hear you're doing a bad job. Every time you're out there picking something up, whether you want a new shovel or a new this to make your job better, that's what they're buying. These are things that, these want lists, it's to do a better job for the citizen. None of this stuff these guys take home at night, nothing benefits them. They could come to work and do nothing for 8 hours if they wanted to with horrible job or horrible tools and equipment. But the better tools and equipment, better things we buy them, the better they can do their job. And again, at the end of the day, like the map I showed you, these guys, I'm proud of what they do. They did a great job. So having those little tools to do it, I don't know where we'd make the cuts. Chuck, not saying we don't need them, it's not part of my slideshow, because that's not what I want to do. I obviously need stuff.
nobody wants to.
Yeah.
One thing, I don't want to see us lose guys to somewhere else when he was talking about the pay.
So,
It's kind of like dispatch
Yeah.
that we did a
Yeah.
month or so ago. I don't want that to happen because,
a lot of these trash drivers are, Megan, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I reached out and interviewed. I actually had one stand up in an interview and tell me, when they said, what's the pay? They just got up and said, thanks, I can't do that. Literally 30? We're talking $9 more an hour. So, I mean, it's significant. Benefits will go so far, and I love the benefits here, and we have a great benefit package, but you can't pay your bills with benefits.
Right.
And if you can't pay your bills, you can't work here.
Does your department do job sourcing, like job fairs and things like HR? They go?
No, we've been pretty lucky right now, but I know Kim's here, and if we needed to do any of that, we'd get with Kim.
what is it?
Just having what they do and how the
Oh.
city's process.
Oh, I
put to
see.
a job fairs. We could recruit people to come work for us, but also show them what we're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a more localized department than the great big, cards that wasn't taking care of this community, so I think that'd be beneficial too, but.
Another thing to think about that is we have a young individual that's CDL licensed, and he's very, he's learning, he's doing good, but they're still working with, driving these big trucks. You're not driving up down the highway or even side streets, you're driving through alleys. I wouldn't want to do it. I rode on those trucks. I have a whole new respect for the driver, because he could take me out on the back if he wanted to with a tree limb or a car. But it's a whole different ballgame than a CDL driving up down the highway. We did hire a truck driver before, and I said, well, he's driven trucks all across the country. Well, he hadn't drove them down the alley. Until you do that, it's a different thing. So having some experience is what I was getting at with that, is a big thing too.
Even when you trim vegetation, Is there any alleys in Pittsburgh that are just small?
Oh, yes, yeah, some are tight, some they've had to just back down, they can only back down, and, you know, they can't. Alleys, the idea of alleys was to get all these cans off the front of
yeah.
the street and get things in the back where, because we do have an ordinance, you can't leave your trash can out. How can we police that with 3 people?
You can't.
With everything else, you can't. So we moved them back to the alleys, which wreaks havoc for Matt and his sewer lines and, you know, the weight of these trucks but the positive side is it is cleaning up these alleys. It is starting to make it, we've had several customers call and say, I can't believe you guys came through and cleaned our alley. Well, yeah, we had to, you know, get our trucks up and down it, but it's making a difference.
Dexter, I might mention, you know, when Chuck's talking about the reducing expenses, the problem with that with sanitation is as you get more and more customers, I've noticed that your landfill drops in January were about $7,000. By the end of the year, because of your more
They're
loads
over
and more
10.
drop, I mean, it's more like 12,000.
Yeah.
So it's doubled, almost doubled from January to December because you're
Yeah.
servicing more customers.
Well, there's that and also the wet months. So you gotta remember too, that these dumpsters fill up with water, all the rain, everything, all your trash weighs that much more. All the cardboard boxes soak up water. It just costs more.
That's Henry, Chuck. He's
Huh?
calling in.
What I do.
Just hit something green. Just tell him hi, Henry,
Pushing the
hold
time.
on.
Could you hold on, Henry?
Well, maybe not that one.
Oh, that.
Hey, Henry,
Hey, Darren, how are you?
we're right in the middle of our budget session. We're gonna put you on hold, okay?
Oh, okay, yep, okay, no problem.
Thanks.
Anyway, I know I'm pushing the time close, so do you have anything else?
Well, I appreciate you putting all this together,
Yes.
putting the details together. I know we're asking a lot from everybody to try to do this as most efficient as we can so we can help the taxpayers, you know, level out what's going on with it.
I wanna say one more thing too. I know, Commissioner Munsell has ridden with the trash guys a time or two. I think that probably gave you a lot more clarity.
I'm gonna do it again. I'm
Good,
gonna
and
do it.
I would encourage anybody, not just with trash, come on out, Malachi will take you, I'm sure Casey or one of the codes enforcement, ride with anybody you want. Get a better understanding of what they do every day.
Another impressive thing, go down in your office and you can see what stops next and where the truck's at.
You can watch it live, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you.
And regarding the budget, there's gonna have to be a discussion about fees in next year's budget because this is one of the operations. It's supposed to operate like a utility, so the fees are supposed to cover the costs, and we stood it up out of the general fund because we just kind of did it in the middle of the year. And then we had some general fund money in it the next year, but right now we're at 18.
We are at 18,
Is that the low for the market?
that is.
So, I mean, that's the alternate side of it is we don't want to get a bunch of customers and then raise the prices, but the whole idea is that it pays for itself and it doesn't have general fund money. So that's going to be something to consider, especially if you add another truck and another crew and more customers. There may be a point where we can't add any more customers without raising the fee to something we're not comfortable with. So we'll have to talk about all that this year in the budget as well. Good job, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. We'll take a little break before the other meeting starts.